welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for what is going to be a TalkFCB podcast episode. Now, we haven't done one of these for quite a while now, and what I thought I would do today is just throw one in here. It feels as though maybe the time is right, kind of because I had a pretty late night last night with obviously the late game and the review and all the emotions with that, and quite honestly, I'm not really sure how we should be feeling. I don't really know how everyone is right now, because given the game last night against Atletico, you come away from that game, you've scored 4 goals against Atletico Madrid at home. It's an absolutely phenomenal thing there. And some of the football that we were playing, by the way, it was outstanding. There was periods of that game yesterday where we were knocking it around there, really playing Atletico Madrid all around the field, and they couldn't deal with us. They could not cope with us. One of the team here, who is a fantastic defensive side, were not able to live with this version of Barca. And to make the comeback in the way that we did, it was obviously tremendous. But then there's the flip side of that, whereby we done so much good, we done so well to get ourselves back in a winning position and to lead actually by 2 goals, and then just to throw it all away. I mean, it was really painful, it was agonising, it was disappointing, and just right here today, we're going to be talking about some of those emotions that we're feeling right now. We're going to be talking about the way the game went. Was there things that we could have done differently? Were there players that could have come into this lineup, maybe at the start of the game, maybe midway through the game, that could have altered that ending? Could we have prevented that in any way? We're going to be talking about the high line. We're going to be talking about some of these selection decisions that Hansi Flick had to make and maybe didn't make in some ways. And along with all of that as well, I think the important thing as well coming up today is these Lionel Messi rumours. Now, I've been asked a lot about those over the past 24 hours or so it's only right here that we do address them, and in full detail here. Messi rumours, Neymar rumours, it's all coming up. But first, let's jump into the game. Because honestly, guys, in the final moments there, you're looking at the last 10 minutes of the game yesterday, we were leading by 4 goals to 2, and especially given this is a 2-leg tie. 4-2 after the first leg would have been an absolutely perfect result for Barca there. Going away in the second leg with a 2-goal advantage, that is really, really strong there. The position that we would have had and the way we could have approached that game then, we could have hit Atleti on the counter-attack, because obviously they are a team that don't really like to come out and play. They don't want to be chasing a game. They actually want something to protect, and actually they'd be quite happy to go into that second leg now level, because they can sort of hit us again, they can sort of wait for their opportunity, they're not forced into doing anything. So it's really, really disappointing to give away that lead. And of course, a lot of people in the aftermath now, they're talking about the high line. They're talking about the fact that in the final minutes of the game, even after we conceded the 4-3, the Llorente goal, even after that, we're still pressing high. We are still very high up the field with a lot of space in behind. In the final minutes of the game, then leading by only 1 goal. And people are saying, well, okay, the high line is how we've played this season. The high line has been successful for us. It's the style of play that has worked so well. But in the final minutes here, based on the circumstances of this game, did we need to approach the final minutes in that way? Did we need to be so high? I mean, even Inigo Martinez came out after the game and said maybe we could have dropped back a bit. Even he admitted that. Maybe we could have retreated just a little to just ease some of that pressure on us with the high line. But of course we didn't. We kept that line high. And Atleti, in the end, it kind of almost felt inevitable that they would repeat what they did in December with Soloth as well, and equalise with just moments to go in the game. So what do you think on that, guys? Do you think we should have dropped back? Should we have abandoned the high line, the high pressing for the final minutes there? But I think Hansi Flick's concern would be, what kind of message does that send out? If you're in the final 10 minutes there, we're 4-2 up, are you saying then we should just sit back, we should just defend? Because then, if we'd have conceded based on that, we would have all said, you invited the pressure. You actually gave Atletico Madrid the opportunity to get on the ball, to get on top of us there by sitting back in the game. And of course, in Champions League games, remember, the defeat against Liverpool, where they came back, the defeat against Roma, that all came about because we ultimately tried to just protect what we had. There was no outlet. There was no mentality there to stand up. We allowed teams to get the ball, to start gaining some momentum because of sitting back. So I think Flick is very fearful of doing that here. I think he's ultimately going to live and die by this high-line system. He's going to say, okay, we're going to concede goals. We're going to have a few moments like this. But in the long run, we will score. We will score again. We scored 4 yesterday. And by the way, we should have scored even more. You know, Ferran had big chances there. We had opportunities for a goal. We were not clinical. We haven't been all that clinical, really, over the past few weeks. And there was an opportunity, even with the high line, even with that space in behind, to come out of this game on top. But this is where it does get quite interesting, guys, because now let's talk about some specifics here. Let's talk about players. Let's talk about profiles here and how maybe things could have been prevented. Because the first thing that I would look at here from the final minutes of the game was, with 5 minutes to go, we take off Pedri and we take off Raphinha all in one swoop there. We take both of those players away from the field. But look, with only 5 minutes to go, you would think, okay, we can surely survive without them. You know, it's just 5 minutes to go in the game. See it out there. The players coming on should be good enough to help us over the line. But it didn't work out that way. And for me, guys, this is not just about this game. I'm looking at those two players there in Pedri and Raphinha. We have to keep them fit this season. Because in my opinion, you take both of those players out of this team and we are really actually going to struggle. We are genuinely going to struggle because there is no players like those in our entire squad. Because you look at Pedri, we took him off there in the 85th minute of the game, and from the very second he stepped off that field, no control. Absolutely no control there. Not only of the ball, it's not only what he does with the ball at his feet, but it's the way that he's able to orchestrate things. It's almost as though when Pedri is out there then, there's a sense of calmness about the team. When he's not there, there's no structure in that midfield. A lot of players there are moving around, they're covering ground, but there's no real presence in midfield. With Pedri, he's that calming influence, he's able to dictate with the ball, he's able as well to do it without it, and there's nobody like him. There is absolutely nobody who can do what he does. Now, in my opinion, Gavi, of course, who came on in that game, didn't think he ended the game particularly well, in my opinion. I still think in this team, we're looking for a way to find his best fit, you know, the best role for him in this team. I still don't believe here that Hansi Flick has found that solution yet. But hey, look what he's done with Pedri. Look what he's been able to unlock in Pedri's game. I believe that given time here, we can find the best fit for Gavi and we can unlock his best ability. But we didn't really see that yesterday. And then you've got Raphinha. Now, nobody out there works as hard as he does. Now, what he brings to this team, not only in terms of the assists that you saw yesterday, the numbers that he's putting up this season are absolutely unreal, and in the biggest of games as well. But look at his work rate yesterday, and I think taking him off there at the end of that game, he's the guy that is pressing from the front, but he's also working back. He actually defends incredibly well there, really does help out the midfield, helps out the defence at times as well, and again, you take him out of the team, you are not able to replace that kind of influence there. So no doubting that Pedri and Raphinha, they've got to go off at some point. You know, you can't leave them out there every minute of every game, but it's very, very clear they are crucial and we will struggle without them. However, guys, it wasn't just about the players who were out there, the players who, of course, can really affect the game in our favour, but there's also real debate going on right now about players who were not out there yesterday. And let's start here by talking about Ronald Araújo. Big debate surrounding him, because on the face of it here, he has now been an unused sub 3 games in a row. You know, 3 games here, he's basically been cast aside by Hansi Flick. We've had lots of rests in between the games. We've also been saying, look, is Flick going to put him in? Is he going to count on him? Now we'll know whether he does or not. And ultimately, based on these games, you'd have to say he is not feeling Araújo right now. He's been on the bench there in 4 of the last 5 matches, played very, very few minutes. Now look, what we do know is that Ronald Araújo, since returning from a long injury, of course, and not having as much time as the other players to sort of acclimatise to Flick's system, he has not been as effective in terms of the offside trap, in terms there of keeping that line very, very nailed on, very organised, very concentrated. He hasn't quite been at the level of Inigo, he hasn't been at the level either of Pau Cubarsí, no doubt about that. But what I would actually point out about specific matches here, specific scenarios, yesterday's game against a team like Atletico Madrid, it wasn't really about the offside trap as such. We only really caught them off, a few times. They had one disallowed goal because of the offside line. But in general, they did their best work, Atleti, ahead of our line. They were actually trying to exploit the space in behind, but from deep. You look at players there like Julian Alvarez, you look at players there like Antoine Griezmann, it's not as though they are the quickest players on the planet. They weren't hurting us there with just pace, running in behind. We weren't trying to catch them off. They weren't always on the shoulder. What they were doing were playing the ball around there, looking for openings, and then making those runs from deep. And I just wonder here, would this game have actually suited Araújo a bit more? Because this would have been more about 1-versus-1 battles. This would have been more about here facing up against Griezmann, facing up especially against Julian Alvarez, who was very, very impressive yesterday, and ultimately just locking them down, making sure they were out of the game. It wasn't so much yesterday about keeping a really, really compact line with the way that Atleti wanted to play. So maybe I was a little bit surprised that Araújo either didn't start the game, or at least then maybe come on. Once we got a real feel for it, once we saw what Atleti were trying to do, the way they were playing, I do think it would have suited Araújo more yesterday, and I do think we have to bear that in mind for the league game coming up against Atletico Madrid. We don't have this second leg, of course, until April, but I do think, depending on the games, depending on the situations, it's really, really important here that we understand who can contribute and who can actually suit the circumstances that we are facing. It's really interesting as well that this morning, now again, Andreas Christensen has the medical green light. That's great news. We want as many top-class players available for these coming games. Players there who can keep competition high, who can really push those ahead of them, and Christensen's return is absolutely vital as well for this run-in now over key months of the season. And Araújo, for sure, he is going to be pushing, working, and he should be, to get back in this team, because there will definitely be times where he can help us. Because what is very, very interesting then, thinking about, again, players that weren't really there yesterday, well, another player that's really been cast aside in recent weeks, well, that happens to be Marc Casado. And can we talk a little bit more here about not only midfield, but defensively in midfield? And again, speaking specifically about this kind of game against this kind of team in Atletico Madrid. Because let me first of all say again, Frenkie de Jong has been much, much improved in recent weeks. And by the way, I wouldn't even say yesterday he had a particularly bad game. I don't think that he was bad yesterday. I think things got a bit difficult for every single player late in the game. And I think especially after Pedri went off, Frenkie also suffers. Frenkie definitely plays better alongside the influence, alongside the structure there that Pedri brings the midfield. And like I say, we're still trying to find the best sort of role, the best kind of partnerships there to play Gavi in as well. So Frenkie and Gavi there didn't really have the best end of the game. And I would look at it again, guys, and I would just think here, based on Atletico Madrid's style, based on the fact that, again, they're looking to play in front of us, they're looking to pop those balls around, looking to counter, of course, looking to exploit space in behind us, wouldn't that kind of have been perfect for Marc Casado? I think in the early stages of those games there, when Atletico Madrid were breaking through, they were really cutting us apart there, and Barca had large periods of this game of domination, but as we know, against a team like Atleti, all it takes is one passage of play. You look at the way that Koundé gave the ball away for Atleti's second goal there. It's one bad pass, it's one mispossession, and suddenly then, you're wide open. That is the risk that we take. That's the way that we play. And I think we need somebody like Casado who is more defensively minded, because Frenkie was not able to stop that particular play. He was not able there to cut that off at source. We saw it several times during this game. Defensively, that's not really the area of his game where he excels. We know that. Now, I think Frenkie is perfect in games whereby we've got lots of the ball, whereby we're not playing against teams really that can threaten us, that can hurt you with one play. Casado would have stopped more of those Atleti counters. He would have stopped them at source. And yeah, at times he might pick up a yellow. There might be a tackle going in here and there. But I just think he would have stopped that at source. And it would have helped with the nerves maybe in the final stages of that game there. To have somebody like Marc Casado there for the game, there for the duration, he could have definitely helped us. And again, much like Araújo, he seemed suited to this kind of game. Did he not? Do you guys agree with that? Or am I just barking up the wrong tree here? But hey guys, ultimately, looking at the game, looking at the reaction here, looking at the fallout, the one thing that I would say in the end is, we will move on from this. We have to focus on the positives. That really was Flick's whole thing after the game. He said, look, we're not happy with the goals. We're going to look at that. It cannot happen against Atletico Madrid. But we are happy with what we did. And it almost seemed as though it was a bit of a carbon copy from the game that we played in December against them. So much good, so much that we can build on. But we have to cut out those errors. You cannot concede 4 goals, really, let's be honest here, against any top-level team. We were lucky that we were able to go up the other end and respond in the way that we did. But I still think going into that second leg, we'll press the reset button, we will come again, we'll be ready for that game. Let's take on the occasion, let's go to Atleti, and let's reach the final of the Copa del Rey. I still firmly believe that we can do that, and so will every other Barca player and Barca fan, I am sure, guys. But let's just actually talk here. I know that this is something that has been really, really playing on the minds of all of us over the past 24 hours. Let's talk about these Lionel Messi rumours, because let me first of all say on Messi, okay, he's 37 years old now. He actually turns 38 in the month of June. Now, I don't actually get the opportunity to talk all that much about Messi here on the channel, but I'm really, really happy that I have got the opportunity here today. And what I find extraordinary about him is that when he left PSG there, when he went to MLS, when he signed for Inter Miami, many people thought, oh, well, that's Messi. He's done now. He's going there to enjoy life in Miami. You can understand that. But ultimately, he's not going to do too much at Inter Miami. He's just going to wind down and see out the final days of his career. That has not happened. I have been very, very impressed with Messi's level, and I guess we shouldn't be shocked. It's Lionel Messi we're talking about. It's the GOAT. But at the same time, I think his attitude has been incredible. He has taken the MLS very, very seriously. He's really elevated the level of Inter Miami. I think it helps there that he's got lots of players around him that, of course, he knows. He's got Suarez, he's got Busquets, Alba, lots of players there that he's really enjoying being with again. It's really cool to see. But I think Messi has been very, very impressive. But he really hasn't shown too many signs of slowing down. Because here come the rumours then. Because will we actually see a last dance? Now, we've heard that a lot over the years with regards to Messi, and of course it would be one of the most perfect endings to one of the most special relationships we have ever seen in football there. The relationship between Barca as a club, as a fan base, and Lionel Messi, the player. It is incredibly strong. It is incredibly special. And an ending that saw Messi in some way connected with this club again, playing at the new stadium, of course, the new Camp Nou. That would be incredible. Now, let me tell you the rumours here, because it's Alex Candal who is reporting here the rumours about Messi. Now, just to put that into context, he is one of the people that first broke the news that Messi would join Inter Miami, which at the time people weren't expecting. People did not think that was a move that was going to happen. He reported it, and he did get it spot on. Now, he is saying right now that Messi will return to Barcelona. That is what he has said there, that Messi will come back to Barcelona, because in Messi's own words, he says, he cannot retire without playing at the Camp Nou again. He still hasn't got, of course, his farewell. He still hasn't actually got that send-off that he deserves, that connection with the fans again. He deserves that more than anybody, and we all want him to have that moment. And of course, we're working very hard on the new stadium. It's going to be ready by the end of the season there. Of course, not at full capacity, but it still will be special to return properly home. And Messi would love to return home too. But what I would say about this, guys, first of all, is we've had so many painful experiences with Messi potentially returning to Barca or staying at Barca even. Even it began with the contract renewal with Laporta, when we thought that it was going to happen with La Liga there and the restrictions. We thought Messi was going to renew and be able to extend. Then it was all taken away from us. And even then when he left PSG, we thought he might come back. We thought that it was indeed going to happen. And then it never did. So we've had some really, really painful experiences. I don't think any of us want to get our hopes up again. Because can I just say here, does this not sound like he's just going to come back and play in the stadium? Is that what is not being implied here? Messi may well return to Barcelona. He's still got his house in Barcelona. Of course, he's going to return, and he may well play in the new Camp Nou when it is ready to be unveiled. We all knew that he may well be at the inauguration of that new stadium, but could this not be a case of some sort of friendly, some sort of send-off here? Barca maybe against Inter Miami. His contract at Inter Miami doesn't even expire until December of this year, so right up there until the end of the year. I don't personally see them letting him walk away for nothing before that contract is up. He's been incredibly successful for the Inter Miami brand. Could it even be a Barca versus Argentina friendly in some way, with Messi maybe playing half and half, one half with Argentina, one half there in a Barcelona shirt again. So I just think here, as much as these Messi rumours, they're glamorous, they are romantic, they really do set off a lot of feelings that I think a lot of us have just put in a box in the corner and they've tried to forget about them. We've had a lot of painful moments, like I say, with Messi and potential returns. We've all wanted it, we've all craved it. We put those feelings aside just to try and forget about it, and every time a possibility emerges again, every time something comes up, you're thinking, could it happen? But I just don't know. I still think there that Messi has problems with Joan Laporta. I still don't think that relationship is anywhere near even good. I think it's at a really, really bad stage. That's why we haven't seen Messi appearing too much at club events, things that happened. The anniversary, of course, of the club, 125 years. Messi didn't even attend that because of that feeling there with Joan Laporta and the betrayal that he felt when he first left the club, of course, those very, very dark days. But guys, what do you think here about these Lionel Messi rumours? What do you make of what is being reported? How do you interpret those rumours? And would you like to see, would you imagine it, Messi back at Barca? Can you imagine it? And could it ever happen, do you believe? Please let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below. Also let me know all of your takeaways from Barca 4. Yes, Barca 4, Atletico Madrid 4. I will be waiting to hear from you, and thank you indeed here for tuning in to the podcast episode. It's been a little while. I hope that you have enjoyed it. A little bit of a break from the usual stuff. I really appreciate all of your support, guys, and I wish you all a great rest of the day. I'll catch you soon, but until next time, as always, Vesca, El Barça.